Hi everyone, my name is Gaurav Pitrupal. So without any further ado, let's get started. So I'll share my screen. And we'll put on there. Okay, so welcome to Pakistan Dreaming and to this session, Becoming a Salesforce Solution Architect, B2C, B2B and beyond. I hope you're having a good conference. There have been some really good sessions since the morning, and I hope you find this one helpful as well. No conference is successful without the support of sponsors. So thank you to all these amazing sponsors who have come together to support Pakistan Dreaming. And thanks to the Trailblazer community, which keeps supporting these events everywhere in the world. I could not start without thanking the three amazing organizers, Hamza, Kurat, and Badr. I was actually a speaker in the inaugural edition of Pakistan Dreaming last year as well, and I'm so grateful that they gave me another opportunity to present this year. And I think I really enjoyed presenting last year, and I'm really glad to be back again this year. So thank you once again. A little bit about me. I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem since a long time, since 2007. Became a Salesforce MVP in 2016. I work for a company called Cloudworks. It's an Australian Salesforce partner, and my title is Chief Technology Evangelist. I've been around for a while, so I've done a number of certifications. And then I've presented at a number of conferences, including Dreamforce, Trailhead DX, Salesforce World Tours, London's Calling, Cactus Force. And in a few weeks, I will again be presenting at Dreamforce. So if anyone who's in attendance today is coming to Dreamforce, I look forward to meeting you there. And hopefully, I'll see you at some of my sessions as well. I lead a Salesforce architect group in Jaipur, in India. And I used to be the dev group leader earlier. And earlier this year, I moved over to start this architect group. I also used to be a certified technical instructor for Salesforce, teaching commerce and architecture courses in APAC and ANZ regions. If I were to describe myself in one line, it's I'm a developer by heart, architect by role, and evangelist by passion. And I'm really grateful that my job actually allows me to play all these roles together. So why am I here? We are all here for the love of Salesforce. I think this is one global community. It transcends all geographical borders. It doesn't really matter which country you are from, which religion, which skin color. I think it's just a global community which has come together and keeps evolving and keeps growing every year. So really grateful to be a part of this community, and I'm very pleased to see all the support for this event. And I'm actually hoping that they do it in person in future, and I might be able to make it there as well. So hopefully someday. So let's talk about becoming a Salesforce solution architect. We'll talk about the solution architect pyramids. We'll talk about the credentials. We'll talk about how we prepare for those. I'll also talk about the career opportunities as well as the overall solution architect roadmap that Salesforce has. So what is a solution architect being like? It's a challenging role. There is absolutely no two ways about it. It's a role which comes with a lot of opportunities, with a lot of growth, but it also comes with a lot of constraints and a lot of challenges as well. And typically, you can classify these constraints into multiple buckets. Business constraints, that there are ever-changing business requirements, there are conflicting goals in the organization. Technology constraints, like you are pretty much dealing with a legacy system which does not even have APIs, existing system issues, the system is not able to scale. Project constraints, I'm sure that all of us have dealt with it, like the never-ending cycle of we don't have enough budget, we need this tomorrow. So timelines, budget, resource scales, and then typical enterprise architecture constraints, which is we want to do this as per the strategy, this is the roadmap, no deviations. There are these enterprise standards that we want to follow, no shortcuts to be taken. This is a target state architecture we want to get to, which again can be challenging. It can be a difficult balancing act at times as well. So let's talk about the solution architect pyramid. But before we do that, let's actually talk about the more popular pyramid, which is the CTA pyramid, which is the Certified Technical Architect. So This credential has been around for a long time. It's considered as the pinnacle of success if you are a Salesforce architect. How do you get there? You do these domain certifications, the application architect, the system architect, which enables you to be eligible for what is called as the review board. There is now another stage in between called CTA 602, which is the pre-review board, which is basically to check that you're ready for the review board. But the idea is you do certain credentials, those are prerequisites, you earn the domain credentials, and then you are eligible for the review board. And if you pass, then you become a certified technical architect. The solution architect pyramid is somewhat similar and somewhat different. Similar in the sense that there are certain prerequisites. So for B2B, you see the prerequisites on the left. For B2C, you see the prerequisites on the right. The place where it differs from CTA is that there is no review board. So once you've done the prerequisites, you can actually take the exams, which are again based on web assessor for B2B as well as B2C. And if you clear those, then you become a B2B or a B2C solution architect. And again, I was very fortunate to be amongst the first few globally to be a part of this. And that is one of the reasons I genuinely believe in this program. And I've seen like people grow in their careers as solution architects with these credentials. And that is one of the reasons why I'm here to talk about these paths. So broadly speaking, like you can be an architect, which could be classified into at a very high level into one of these three roles. You could be a technical architect, very deeply technical, a lot of technical focus. You prepare technical architecture diagrams. You deal with enterprise patterns, or you deal with technical patterns all the time. Then you are on the other end of the spectrum, you could be an enterprise architect. So you might be talking enterprise architecture, maybe having credentials like TOGAF. You are more fond of strategy and roadmaps. Solution architect is kind of the middle ground of the two. So you understand technical architecture, but you also understand the big picture. You understand the overall strategy. You understand things from a higher lens perspective as well. So you understand the full enterprise architecture at a high level, and you also understand the technical architecture. So depending on how you look at it, it could be classified as the worst of both worlds. I call it the best of both worlds. But the reality is, like, you can work in roles like pre-sales, you can work as a pure solution architect, who could be part of project discoveries, as part of solutioning as well. So, and again, there are multiple other roles. You could be a data architect, you could be a business architect, you could be applications architect. Again, depends on the kind of organization you are in and the kind of roles and responsibilities you have. Before I actually talk about the solution architect credentials, I actually want to talk about a little bit more about the program. So this program is now, I think, about 18 months old. And as I said earlier, I was amongst the first few to participate in this. It is a fantastic team which is responsible for this. It is led by Shubhi Abdi. And he has Anu, Divya, Gach, Taylor, and Reza as part of their team. And they focus on B2C, B2B, and also the enterprise architect program. And again, it's not as glamorous as a CTA or not as well advertised as CTA, but like in the last few months, especially in the last few months, I've seen a lot of people take on this role as the Salesforce solution architect. In my organization, we have the specialist role, and I know a lot of GSIs, especially in the partner ecosystem, they are hiring more and more solution architects. So this is a good bet to make in terms of your career if you are Salesforce architect. What this team also does is they conduct a lot of events, and again, they involve community. So this is a recent event which I just wanted to share. Like, there may be more like these in future as well, where they bring in like some people from the community to talk about Salesforce solution architect, CTA programs, and a lot more. So the idea is that you can learn, and these are run in a format which is like a boot camp. So you basically learn a lot of aspects in a single day, which is obviously helpful. What do solution architects typically do, or what do Salesforce solution architects typically do? So they, as the name suggests, they do solutioning, which could be used in pre-sales, which could be used in demos, which could be used in discovery, and they produce artifacts. So a good example of an artifact is something like this, which you think may be a little bit overwhelming if you're seeing this for the first time. But if you break it down piece by piece, block by block, and you'll see it's not really that complex. And again, as you evolve in your Salesforce solution architect journey, you will see that these are something which is not that difficult to follow. So if I were to break this down, there is a core Salesforce platform which has all these components: sales, service, experience, few others. There's my commerce platform. It is talking to the core platform using the service connector. I have my marketing platform, which is Marketing Cloud, Datorama, Interaction Studio with newer names now. So MC Intelligence, MC Personalization, and the other studios. And then there is a marketing connector which connects these to the commerce platform. There is a MuleSoft ESB bus for orchestration and connecting to third-party systems as well. And then there are several third-party modules which are in here as well. And again, as I said, this is just an example. Your actual artifacts may look very different depending on the use case. What solution architects often need to do is they need to take a decision based on, for example, a certain use case. What is the best fit? So Salesforce has published something called the Architect Decision Guides, which is a fantastic resource. I use them all the time. It depends what kind of a decision you want to make, whether that's event-driven architecture, whether that's data integration, whether that's migration, record trigger automation. There are multiple ways of doing things, and depending on the use case and depending on the factors that you're dealing with, some approach may be better than the other approach. So these decision guides actually help you come to the best possible approach. Let's talk about the preparation for these credentials, and I couldn't use another picture because these exams you really need to be prepared. I won't say these are difficult, but these are challenging for sure. So how do you prepare for these exams? You do it very similar to how you would prepare for any other exam. You read the exam guide. I typically annotate the exam guide. I mark out sections. I actually highlight all the objectives, and then I make sure that I read each objective and I prepare well for each objective. There is obviously weighing for different sections. They have different weights. But the idea is you should have enough coverage across all the sections. And then trail mix, I can't emphasize this enough. Do the trail mix. It's the holy grail of doing any certification, and these solution architect credentials are no different. PLC is something which is not relatively new, but not well known enough. Again, this is partner learning camp, and you have courses for B2B and B2C, both on partner learning camp, which you can leverage to prepare for the credentials. These credentials do require a breadth of technology. So for example, on the B2B side, on the B2C side, you will be dealing with what we often call as multi-cloud, or what was earlier called as cross-cloud. You will need to be familiar with a number of products. This does not mean you need to be an expert on all of these products, but you should know enough in terms of the use case, in terms of how they talk to each other, and typical data synchronization strategies. So that is something that you should know. A good thing is, as I said, PLC, they have so detailed courses that pretty much you could prepare using PLC, practice a little bit using sandboxes, and then appear for the exam, even if you do not have project experience. If you obviously have multi-cloud project experience, either in B2C or B2B, that is a massive advantage as well. But the idea is these courses are really comprehensive, and these give you a head start. So there is a B2B credential as well, and B2C. You'll see that there are foundational courses, and then they build upon each other. And then finally, you get some of the more advanced concepts, and then you are ready to take the exam. There are also a lot of quizzes as part of these courses, which will actually help you prepare for the exam as well. These exams are purely based on use cases. So these are not theoretical exams. They will test your ability to solution things on the B2C side and B2B side. And it depends on the use case that you're dealing with. So typical use cases you'll come across: how do you identify your customers in a multi-cloud scenario? What data should you store? For example, there's a customer who is doing shopping on an e-commerce portal, and he wants to raise a case with the company. So the case is on Service Cloud, the shopping is on e-commerce. Where do you store which information? And several such considerations come into play. How do you make sure profile changes are synchronized? So for example, if again multi-cloud scenario, customer information is spread across different clouds. How do you ensure that the data is in sync? Because out of sync data is something that will screw up your systems. And again, LTV considerations, like how much data can you store in what part of the system, and how does it get synced back and forth. So a typical example, as I said earlier, commerce and marketing. For example, there is a customer, you put some products in the cart, but never really checked out. So how do you do that? It's an abundant cart, so you entice them with discounts. Although they are commerce, you use marketing cloud to trigger an email. We have this discount for you. Why don't you complete your purchase? Transactional emails, like created a new account, you reset a password, order confirmation, and again data synchronization as well. So for example, single view of customer, catalog, content, order across these different clouds. Service Cloud, another example which I talked about, the customer wants to raise a case. Where does that case get stored? How does it tie back to the orders? All of those considerations. And in the exams, you will see each question is a use case. It's a mini scenario. You will need to solve that scenario. It's not easy. It's not that difficult if you have a good understanding of all the books. Like where would you fit in something like B2C commerce? Where would you fit in something like Pardot or whatever the newer name is? You need to basically understand those particular cases as well. So, and then there are solution kits. So there are solution kits for B2C, B2B. Again, these are very well defined, very well publicized by Salesforce. So having an understanding of these will definitely help you prepare for the solution architect credential. Let's talk about the exams. Are they difficult? I would say if you prepare well and if you do all the prerequisites, then you have a good chance of passing. And again, as it says here, like 40 to 60 hours of study is actually enough to prepare this for this credential and complete this learning journey. And again, there are multiple steps. You need to understand integration, governance, customer experience, B2B industry scenarios, and then you are eligible for the B2B architect. B2C is very similar time frames, similar modules, but on the B2C side. And again, there are certain parts which are good to know. For example, headless. If you come from a B2C commerce background, that is good to know. And once you have completed this learning journey, you are ready to take the solution architect. Let's talk about the roadmap. So this is a very old slide, and the reason I keep using this is Salesforce did not want to end the program at the solution architect stage. They also are preparing for what is called a Salesforce Enterprise Architect credential. The work actually on this had started earlier this year, but for whatever reasons, it has been put on hold. But the idea is that there is a new credential which will come up, which is basically a Salesforce Enterprise Architect for truly experts in multi-cloud enterprise integration, understand enterprise architecture methodologies. And I'm really looking forward to when they launch this. But like as I said, like this has been put on hold, so I don't really know what eventually is the plan behind this. But good thing is there is a technical architect track, there is a solution architect track, and both tracks offer a lot of opportunity for Salesforce architects. That is it. So if there are any questions, I can take them now.